And I'm sure the police opened a case file. And that's how the matter came into the public. If he had kept quiet, nobody would ever have heard about it.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, how would a nominee respond to accusation of incompetence upon losing cases of corruption or criminal trials?
I don't understand the question myself, so can you clarify it for the...
Mr. Chairman, what I mean is that if in prosecuting cases of corruption, the media loses first case, second case, third case, and public opinion, public pronouncement is alleging incompetence, how would the nominee respond to?
The office of the special prosecutor is supposed to be a professional office. And it's only the vindictive prosecutor who would expect that every case he goes to court, he must win. You will have to go to court when there is a higher threshold, but that's your office perception. You are going to put the case before an independent judge. There are going to be adversaries on the other side. If you don't put a proper case and you lose it, you've lost it. That's all of it. So if you lose 3 cases, I mean, you've done your best. The evidence is weak. You can't do otherwise about it. You know, in any case, I will think that we will try as much as possible not to just send cases to court because we want to send them. But if we believe in them and we lose them, justice has been done. And we must be praised for conceding to defeat rather than condemned because we couldn't persuade the judge. Lawyers lose several cases. It doesn't make a difference. You do your best. Once you've done your best, the rest, you shouldn't worry about it.
Your last question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The nominee, in his responses to one of the questions, indicated that he may use reparations when he believes it's in public interest. A restitution, yes, when he believes it's in public interest. Mr. Chairman, I would want to find out how the nominee would minimize the implicit moral hazard. That is the risk that knowing the special prosecutor could use reparations, people would get the mindset that, okay, then I would steal. If I'm caught, I'm asked to just refund. And that in itself starts defeating the objective of his office.
Chairman, as I have said, each case will be treated on its merits. There are times when, as a prosecutor, you see it's better to settle than to go to court. Because your evidence may not be as strong as you think. But because your evidence is not disclosable to the defendant, he might conclude that, look, it's better I settle, right? As a prosecutor, you may think that the nation is better off settling than going to court and losing. And that is why you don't do it alone, because you have to work as a collective. Your group must agree that, look, this case is better we settle than to go to court. There's no point going to court and losing the money. If taking the money will give you a better state, you do it. So it's all a balancing act. I can't give you all the basic yardsticks that are required, but in the law books, there are standards for doing it, which will make it honorable and which others can uphold. Whatever you are doing, it is what other lawyers would believe is reasonable and credible you should do.
Follow up? Okay, yes, one.
Mr. Chairman, in case when he uses reparation, would he be open to a thinking that if, for example, we call triple penalty, 1 cedi stolen, you refund 3 cedis in such reparative measures? Would he be open to thinking like that? Penalty, like you stole something, you are refunding it, but are you refunding the exact amount, or interest calculated for loss of public option to have used the money for investment?
I cannot say it alone here, but it will depend on the circumstances of the case and the gravity of the offense. You know, these are factors which will come to inform. If a penalty may be imposed, the circumstances will show. It will show, depend on what we have been able to find out. You will realize that in Nigeria, they found some monies. It's taken so many years, even they are not getting the monies. So they had to do a renegotiation to get some of the monies back. These are all things we, as in that office, we will have to consider and act objectively in the national interest. That's all I can say, because I can't conjecture what will happen in the future, but I can assure you that we will do our best using best practices in prosecutorial practice or standards.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, Parliament of the Republic of Ghana passed the Major Mahama Trust Fund Bill, and the bill was submitted to His Excellency, the President, for his assent. While the bill was waiting for the President to append his signature, you wrote under the title, "Mr. President, think long before signing the Major Mahama Trust Act." And this was written on 13th of November 2017. Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, I would like to read some few paragraphs. Mr. President, the bill that Parliament passed for your signature suffers from several constitutional, legal, and policy defects that should have been conditions precedent to its enactment. Portions of the bill passed by Parliament for your signature are inconsistent with and contravene the 1992 Constitution in several material particulars. It also seriously undermines and puts to naught several provisions of the Armed Forces Act 1962, Act 105, as revised, and regulations made thereunder to compose and regulate the conduct of the Ghana Armed Forces. And in conclusion, you said, Mr. President, there is a tendency on the part of many politicians and political appointees to overplease every sitting president in whatever he says. Your wishes, when you state them, ought to be implemented in accordance with the due process of law, where feasible. I sincerely do not think the bill presented to you for signature meets constitutionality and due process of law. That is why I urge you to think long before you sign it. This was the letter, the article you wrote. And then on the, let me lay a solid foundation. Honorable,
and on the 2nd January, I'm not asking the question.
Yeah,
and on 2nd January 2018,
why we wanted to limit
the President, in spite of this advice, assented to the bill. Can you share with the committee the constitutional defects of that bill, and whether or not the President erred in assenting to a bill that has several constitutional defects? And also to ask, did the President think long in assenting?
Mr. Chairman, I have stated that I was a constitutional defense advocate, and I was doing my work as a constitutional defense advocate. Right, so I wrote it as strongly as I could. Let me tell you one thing. The late Major Mama's grandfather was my very close friend because I worked with him at the Arts Council in Tamale. So I didn't write that thing lightly. I thought that if we were going to make a bill, it should be general, not targeting one person. And I thought that the national interest will not be served. But I am not the judge of the national interest. I'm a constitutional advocate. The fact that the president decided to assent it, for me, I've done my duty as a constitutional advocate. And that is it. If I could assent or refuse assent, I should have been the president. I was just persuading him. And he didn't accept my persuasion. And yet he still thinks that I'm credible enough to be his special prosecutor because I'm forthright and plain in what I think. So I'm transparent. You will see me even when I'm afar. So I don't have a problem if the president decides to. As I told you, Trump memorized that the act was unconstitutional, and yet he signed it.
No, I think that my question was very specific, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable member, he has answered. Ask us next question.
Then the second question. On the 8th of February 2018, the president was in parliament to fulfill a constitutional requirement by delivering the State of the Nation address. In page 17, the president had this to say: from the allegations against the minister designate for energy at his parliamentary confirmation hearings and several other allegations, the president said that investigations have been conducted